Hi there, this is me Tabia, and today we are going to brief 6 things that I learned from this book by Mark Manson. So let's just hop into it. So let's start with this one, real freedom. So, for the most part of my life, I believe that what I wanted most in my life is freedom. Freedom that I can leave everything, everyone, at any time. And as a matter of fact, I still believe it now. But here's something new that I learned. Real freedom lies in commitment. Commitment to a city, to a job, to an art form, or to a person. Now, it may seem very nice to think of a hobbit hole or a new life at a new city, but these really are things that give us high and distract us from the real highly important goals. Take this for instance, you have started learning a new subject and you have given yourself freedom, choose and switch the subject anytime you want. Now anytime you get stuck to hard part of the subject, you will leave it and switch to the new subject and most likely end up repeating the same thing. And obviously you would learn a lot and that's a reward for your hard work, but you would be master in none of them. Now let's seize the freedom and get ourselves committed to one subject. Whether it's difficult or easy, it doesn't matter to you because you only have one option now. So just do it. And after giving a whole lot of time, you may realize that you are somewhere near to being the master in that field. Now second off, we are having being a saver. And it's a personal problem. And let me read the line that I connected the most within the book. It is harsh, but I know deep down there that it's true. The saver solves and solves, not because she actually cares about the problem, but because she believes that she must fix others' problem in order to deserve attention and affection for herself. Now the same goes for a victim, but I tilt more towards the saver side. Now here's the other side of it. I didn't help him, I just snatched an opportunity from his hand through which he could have learned how to climb. And now he would always need me to help him every time, which is something like drugs for both of us because I get high from feeling that someone is asking me for help, so I should help him or her just to feel good about myself. But here's the thing, it's not that I have to totally say no. I can say it every now and then, but it's just that whenever I feel like saying no, I should say no. And that will even break this toxic drug addict victim saver relationship. He or she would start being less dependent on me and it would also give me control in my own life. Now saying no is very difficult in some of relationships. For a lot of us, it is very scary also because of the consequences that it may have, and you may lose a lot of friends. But here's something to minimize that. Ask yourself what could be the result of you saying no to a certain person for a certain thing, then act in accordance to it. Now stating you something from experience, to your surprise, there are actually people who would not mind listening no from you. Obviously, they would be happy to hear a yes, but hearing a no doesn't break their trust or bond with you. So third off, we are having the motivation trap. So it's something that I see quite often, and when I think about it, everyone is just obsessed with it. Now, we as humans, due to recent surge in technology and social media platforms, have become animals who are driven by feeling, and there's no problem in that unless and until it results into procrastination. Now, a lame excuse we give to ourselves is that I don't have the motivation to start a work, I'll do it later. But if you think about it, motivation comes from doing work. You start to work, then if it turns out good, you get the motivation to do more work, and further on and on. But what we want now is to have a taste of cake just to get in the mood to make a cake without even putting into efforts to make a cake in the first place. So don't just sit there and think, how will I be able to do this? Just start doing your stuff, and while doing it for long enough, you'll figure out how to do it. And you might not believe it, but it was sole reason how I got through physics and maths. So, moving on to the next one, getting high due to shallow values. Now, take this for example. I had been struggling a lot because of this since high school. If anyone got even a single marks more than me in any subject, I would get agitated to my core. If I think a bit deeper, I can think of one reason that what I thought was that I was working the hardest, so I should get the best result. But here's the deal first. The value here is that hard work is supposed to get good result, but it's not true. It is surely supposed to get you a result that you yourself couldn't have achieved without hard work. That doesn't involve anyone else in particular. Secondly, the fact that I believed how I was the most hardworking person in the room was such a narcissistic thing to think of because everyone was working and everyone was trying to push their limits. And I realized it recently that the root cause of this problem was my shallow values. And the stuffs that I believed, now I do realize that most of our acts, like scolding a waiter for spilling tea or helping someone who doesn't need to be helped, just boasting about our lives on social media, are just a source to get ourselves high. Now, it doesn't mean that it is necessarily bad, but it is a bad method to live a life. You cannot base your life on shallow values. Now, that's not something that you would hear in words, but rather in action. Now, right values or wrong values is not something that I or anyone else can decide. It is actually something that each of us decides for ourselves. Now, for a drug addict, it would be good to stay away from their drug addict friends, but that would not be a good value for me, who should be involved more with their friends. Now, fifth off, we are having acceptance. So, recently I started learning Japanese because why not? Sound cool. So, there were 40 lectures, and I watched a few lectures and I tried learning and writing a lot of words, hundreds of words, but it got harder and I then gave up. So, am I sad about it that I failed miserably at it? No, not at all. I just accepted the fact that the motive to look cool was not strong enough. So, I didn't actually got it because I didn't even wanted to learn it. So, let's just accept it and move on to learn something else that you might think you like, unless you realize that you do really like doing it. Also, I did this because I was not having any Japanese exam coming up in my life. So don't just do this if you are having an upcoming exam, because it's not a choice for you anymore. It's an excuse to run away from studying, and also we need to pass the exam. So you should just go and study. So sixth off, we are having acceptance on another level. So on another level, acceptance is on existential level about being mediocre. We all have heard of this many times, that everyone is born with something hidden and everyone is extraordinary. But to me, and according to this book, all this is just rubbish. Most of us, including me, are mediocre, and we need to be chill about it. Even if I topped a national level exam, I would still be behind so many people, some of who didn't give the exam and others who couldn't show their greatness during the exam due to XYZ reasons. It may be due to anxiety or health issue or other thing. I would still be mediocre, and accepting being mediocre breaks this pressure of competing for being the best. If we presume so much about ourselves, we glorify it as finding ourselves, but the truth is, we don't need to define ourselves, because if we put a definition to ourselves, it will stop us from growing and doing something that breaks our definition of who we are. So let's just not stop learning cooking just because you assume you are bad at it. Let's just not stop trying to study maths just because you thought you were bad at it. Let's just have a counterintuitive approach towards everything, and that's what this book is all about. I can't really describe it how the author really wrote each and every stuff so amazingly. So if you do have time, please give it a read. It's a wonderful book. And that's all for today. See you all next time with another book.